Ben Rose, and today I am going to talk with you about a topic which I am very passionate about, and that is the importance of high-quality reading materials for the classroom. I would first like to thank David for allowing me the time to talk with you today. And secondly, I would like to let you know that today's video was pre-recorded so that while you're watching the video, I can put up resources and books and show you how these will look when you pull them up on your own computer. As well as we would like to have another teacher come and tell you about her approach to using one of the books that we have in our digital library, how she used it in her classroom. We would also like to let you know that since the video was pre-recorded, we can now answer any questions or comments that you have while the video is playing in the comment section below. So please feel free to ask away while you're watching, answer your questions right away. So let's get started. Is the importance of high quality reading materials. Now that can include books, magazines, comic books, pretty much anything that interests students and gets them to read. So first I have a question that I would like you to answer in the comment section is, do you have lots of books available for students to read in your classroom? This topic for teachers in the US right now is very contentious because the funding for education is going down, and books available for students to read is not considered to be very important. But I hope today we will show you that some leading research in the field of language acquisition in particular is showing that having books and designating time for students to read might actually be one of the best things that teachers can do to help their students succeed. So we previously talked on this site about a method to use storytelling in your classroom. And I brought up the educational theorist Stephen Krashen and some of his educational theories. David and I were able to attend a conference Dr. Krashen had on the importance of free voluntary reading. Another name that we use for free voluntary reading is called SSR, or Sustained Silent Reading. Pretty much it's like 15 to 30 minutes that is provided to students just to read something they want to read without any consequence, any quizzes, any tests. Just give them time to read. Some people think that this designated time is a waste because they say students are fake reading or just sleeping, or that a teacher is lazy for not having to do anything. But Dr. Krashen proposes that this designated time is actually one of the best things teachers can do to support language development. This comes from two reasons. Number one, it is engaging students' interest. Often we teach things that students aren't interested in, so what happens is their attention goes down and they stop receiving the information that we want them to get. Number two, if students can choose the material, the chances are that they are going to be able to comprehend that material better than something we might assign them. So they are interested in the material and they are comprehending what they are reading. These are two important factors that lead to language acquisition. So first, in order to provide this activity, we need to have these resources available. So we would like to talk about some different ways that you can get books into your class for free. Let's go over some of those resources. Let's talk about ways that we as teachers can get books to our students. Now first, most teachers will say the library is a good place to start. That's true. I don't know in your schools if the library is a place that you will go to get books for your students. Please tell us in the comment section below if the library is a good resource for you. I found teaching overseas that the library was very limited in what it had available. So I stuck to primarily asking other teachers, because lots of teachers might have kids, they love to read, so they will have a store of books maybe at home, maybe in their class. And when I get a book that I like, I will scan it into the computer, make a PDF or PowerPoint with that book so I can return the paper book and have a digital version that I can put on a projector overhead in my classroom, or we can make mini books for the students. Another resource is obviously the internet. Is a great place to find, but it's often hard to get specific books and to get the original version that might be copyrighted and might be kind of expensive to purchase. So here are 3 ways you can find books and stories free for your students. A simple way is to use YouTube. I have used this in the past, especially teaching English as a foreign language, because there are lots of YouTube videos with native speakers reading actual stories with the book, so you can see the words on the page, you can see the pictures, and you can hear someone reading the story. And then once you're finished, you can turn off the audio, play back the video, and have your students try to read it. This works as a class, in groups, and if you have computers available for your kids, they can try this out individually. There are 2 websites that I like to use that have books available. One is that is a place, I I think, provided by the Library of Congress that supplies teachers or general public with free classic books and children's stories. Another one, if you have older learners, would be Planet eBook, which has downloadable copies of English literature, the classics. So we have the library talking to other teachers using the internet. If you can think of another way that you have found to be successful to get resources, whether that is asking for money from your school or applying to grants to get resources purchased for your class, we would love to hear about it. We are going to talk about a little later a resource that we developed that we would like to provide to you, which is an online digital library of scanned English books that we have used in Taiwan for English language instruction. And this is simply just books that were scanned and made into PDF or PowerPoint presentations that could be shared amongst educators. When you start to search for online resources to build a collection of high quality reading materials for your students, you might find it is difficult to find materials that are free, that are appropriate for their level, or that engage their interest. So we would like to offer the teachers on this site an accessible digital library that you can use in your class that's available to you right now to try out. So we will include a link to this Google Drive that has a lot of high quality English books that you can try out with your students. So on this site we have scanned books into PDF or PowerPoint presentations. So let's pick one out all by myself. You can double click on the book. The book will open with Google Slides, which you can put on a computer screen or you can put on a projector, and it is ready to use. And this can be put on a big screen in front of your class so it can be seen by everyone. Also, you can download these books onto your computer to make edits, to put in some additional vocabulary or quizzes that you might want to include with the reading. But this provides a great way to start a collection of resources in your class to be used for free voluntary reading or class reading. And it's also a great way for you to be able to share resources with other teachers. We really encourage you teachers to start putting up your own books and putting them on a platform where you can share with other people, because these materials hopefully should be available for all educators to use, and so we don't have to spend a lot of time searching for books when we can just be sharing things with other teachers that you can use right away. Now we're going to be talking about some ways that you can incorporate books into your classroom, into your teaching. So we have another teacher that's going to share with you an activity that she used with a story that we have on our digital library, part of the Pete the Cat series. First, I'd like to show you the two websites I mentioned earlier. This is Planet eBook, where you can find English classics, and you can download them as PDFs. It's just planetebook.com. And the other one is read.gov, where you can find books for kids, teens, adults, books for educators, and you can just search titles or subjects and pull them up onto a digital reader. And of course, YouTube, which is a wonderful resource and totally free and provides all kinds of selections for different kinds of voices, different animations. Kids love YouTube. Okay, let's hear from our teacher, Sarah, about how she used Pete the Cat with her students.
Hi, I'm Sarah Palmer. I currently teach high school English, and I taught English as a foreign language in Taiwan for about 3 years. So my favorite book from the digital library is Pete the Cat, I Love My White Shoes. This book is about a cat who goes through the day stepping in various items and changing the color of his shoes every time he steps in a new, I think it's food. So my kids really love this book. The illustrations are colorful and they're funny, and the way that it's written lends itself to kind of a sing-songy read. You can even go on YouTube and find the song for this book. So it's also very repetitious, which allows students to read the story on their own after the second read. So I thought that was really great, and that the students, sing along with it. And also, after we read that book, and they read it, and they sang the song, I would hear them throughout the day singing that song as well. So it really stuck in their head, which is great. The main activity I used for this book was just a recreation of the story. So the basic activity was using the same character, Pete the Cat, using the same clothing, right, his white shoes, but then having students change the items and their corresponding colors when the story. After they were done writing the story, they then illustrated the story, and then they read the story to their class. Now, some of my advanced students changed the clothing. They decided that he was wearing a jacket, or he was just wearing his socks, or he kept falling down and changing the color of his pants. Some of my even more advanced students completely changed the character, the clothing, the items, but continued with the same rhythm of the story. And yeah, they really loved it, and I would definitely use that activity again.
Thank you, Sarah, for sharing. Pete the Cat is a great series to have in your class. Kids love the books. They are very simple, very effective. So we would like to make some of our resources available to you to try out with that book in particular. So we will link, following this video, some resources, including the digital version as well as a video that was made by some students in Taiwan adapting this story into like a reader's theater. This would be something you could try with your own students. A couple other ideas of how to use books in your teaching would be one method we have already discussed on this website, which was TPRS, Teaching Proficiency Through Reading and Storytelling. You can look back at some of the previous videos if you forgot a few of the details about that. Another one I would recommend is called GLAD, Guided Language Acquisition by Design. And this is another way to be able to create a class story using a book and coming up with new ideas, maybe something that the students can relate to a little better. We will also link, following this video, some resources that pertain to TPRS and GLAD, so that you have a little more in your toolbox for when you start to approach using books as part of your lesson. This is a topic in a lot of teachers that I know, because it's pretty common that funding is being cut for education and there's not a budget for books in our class. So I hope after talking about this today, you can join in on helping create a digital platform for educators to share reading resources, because our students need these resources and sometimes we can't get them. So it helps if more teachers are willing to share and to contribute and to talk about things that have worked for them in their class. So thank you for listening, and if you have any questions or comments, please put them in the comment section below and we'd be happy to answer them. Thank you so much.